Hi guys, Darth is back with another Star Wars action figure video. Today, another top 10 for the end of 2023, now we're in 2024. As I'm recording this, but I'm going to be counting down the top 10 TVC figures of 2023. It's a pretty good year for vintage collection, I think. My rules for my list are pretty simple. It has to have released in 2023, and I have to have bought it. And that's pretty much it. When I'm picking out all the figures to put on this list, I got more TVC figures than I thought I got this year. And the list, I knew what was my favorite from this year, but towards kind of the higher numbers, this list got a little difficult to put together. Um, I think TVC had a really solid year. I don't know if it was quite as good as Black Series. I think Black Series, especially getting towards halfway through the year and towards the end of the year, just kept giving us some really, really good figures. Um, I think Black Series honestly might have had its strongest year ever this year. I'm not going to lie in terms of releases. But TVC was no slouch. We still got a lot of good stuff. Um, I picked up most of what I wanted this year. There's a couple things that won't be on the list that I didn't get in time. The deluxe Sabine Wren from the Ahsoka series. I actually have it on order. It just hasn't shipped yet because Amazon doesn't technically have it in stock yet. But it's like half price, so I had to put the order in. But I haven't gotten it yet, so that's not here. Also, I didn't get the Mandalorian's N1 Starfighter. I don't know if I actually would even put it on the list anyways because it doesn't seem fair to include a ship that's like over $150, a ship and figure set that's over $150, and you can compare it with like $20 releases. So it probably wouldn't have been on the list anyways. But right here is just some honorable mentions, just some figures that I think they didn't quite make my list, but were I think standouts for different reasons. Things like this Cassian Andor was pretty close to making my list. I think this figure really needs a shout out. I think it's kind of a sleeper figure this year. Unfortunately, just because of what Andor is as a show and the characters, a lot of the character designs just don't translate well into action figures just because they're just people in clothes. I think is the simplest way I can put it. But this Cassian is probably the best Cassian Andor that Hasbro has done. Got quite a bit of paint, honestly, going on. I think the head sculpt and the face print's really well done. I think it's better than the Black Series by a lot. Doesn't really come with many accessories. It just comes with his pistol, but I don't really know what else he could have gave him. And he has pretty solid articulation, so he was a really solid release that I think was worth mentioning. I got ARC Trooper Havoc this year. They did all three of the clone commanders from the Clone Wars in realistic style, which I thought was really cool. But Havoc was the only one I actually ever found in stores. I don't know why, but Havoc was easy to find, and the other two I never saw once in stores, which is pretty unfortunate. I wanted to have all three loose and carded. That's probably not going to happen now because I just wasn't able to find them. Maybe I'll try to track them down, at least have them loose. But these are really cool, but didn't make my list because as much as I like the ARC Trooper figures, it is just a repaint. And honestly, this mold is even starting to show its age a little bit, if I'm being honest. The new Cal Kestis came out this year. I still haven't played the game yet because it hasn't been optimized well on PC. So I don't have a crazy large attachment to this specific look for Cal. I think it's a really cool look though. He comes with good accessories. He has lightsaber hilt that goes on the belt, a pistol I can store in the holster, and he comes with a little BD1, just like the Black Series. I will say I prefer the Black Series over this one. This one has a good head sculpt and face print, but I don't know. I just like the Black Series one a bit better. But this is still a really solid release from this year. This Luke is probably one of the best kind of post-Return or Return of the Jedi style Lukes we've ever gotten. I actually completely forgot this came out this year. It's really nice. Got a nice lightsaber, good accessories. Got one of the best soft goods robes I've seen on 3 3/4 inch figure. The head sculpt and face print, probably one of the best Luke likenesses we've gotten at this scale as well. He has some issues, I think, with some reuse that makes some of his articulation dated. Like he's only got a swivel waist. He's got the old style ball hinge hips, which I don't love. Even though they upgrade the ankles to have the rockers, I wish they would have put maybe a little more newer engineering of the figure, and he might have made my top 10 list. But still a cool figure, one worth getting. The Tusken Warrior was a really interesting and smart reuse of that old 3 1/4 inch Black Series Rey figure. I didn't even know she reused that body as a base when I first got this figure, but she does, and you know, it works pretty well for the most part. Wish she had different hinges on her wrists, but aside from that, pretty good. Looks great. I just wish I got the deluxe version instead of the standard release. I bought the standard release because I completely forgot she was getting a deluxe release with the dog thing, the Mastiff, I think it's called. Then the officers, you'll be seeing more of this mold, but Hasbro made a new officers mold, and they have definitely gotten their money's worth out of it. They've already done a ton of officer characters, and I assume we'll probably just get more. I'm really hoping they do a Grand Moff Tarkin. This is Piet here, Admiral or Captain Piet, depending on what you want to call him. But he's pretty good. They did Moff Jarjerrod, who I also have. Yeah, I didn't pull him out, but he's good as well. And then a few others that you'll see in a moment. And then if I was to give an award for best repaint of the year, gotta give it to this Boba Fett. This is a comic book style Boba Fett with this cell shading paint job going on from specifically the Death, Lies, and Treachery comic, but the artist who did that book also did the art for Dark Empire, which is the first comic series I really read all the way through and owned many years ago. So I have some nostalgia for that art style in that comic, and Boba Fett appeared in that as well and looked pretty much like this. So I really like this a lot. Doesn't make the top 10 because it's just a repaint of this Boba Fett figure, but very cool. Anyways, I've yammered on enough about honorable mentions. Let's get on to the actual top 10. So at number 10, this is a figure I really debated on not even putting on the list at all, but it is HK-47. He was packed in with the Jedi Knight version of Revan in a 2-pack for Galaxy of Heroes. That was on the card back anyways. That was a GameStop exclusive, I think. Maybe it was a fan channel, I'm not sure. But this is basically a repack of like a 15-year-old figure. It was originally a Build-A-Droid figure from 2008 Legacy Collection where you had to buy the whole wave to build the droid. I never did that way back when, but it's a figure I've always wanted. HK-47 is probably my favorite droid in all of Star Wars. Big fan of Knights of the Old Republic. So I've always wanted this guy, and the figure gets pretty pricey when you're looking on eBay and whatnot. So even though I feel like they should have done some reworking of the figure, I am glad they released it. It has aged fairly well. It looks really nice. I absolutely love the silver brushing on it. All the painted detail they did put on it looks great. Although the figure could definitely still use some more details painted on it. Mainly the articulation is where the figure suffers a bit. It's not terrible. I actually have the ball jointed the torso, and he only has a swivel at the neck, which I'm honestly fine with. But there is some places like the shoulders only have swivels. It is not the worst thing in the world, but isn't the greatest. Only swivel wrists, only swivel hips, no ankle rockers. Stuff like that holds him back a fair amount. It definitely shows his age, but yeah, it's still super happy to have this character in figure form finally, so I had to have him on the list, but I did put him at number 10 because it is a 15-year-old figure. At number 9, we have Director Krennic. This is a figure I'm very happy that they made. I'm not surprised they made it because of the new officer mold, but it's a figure that's required an update for a long time now. The only other 3.25-inch figure of Krennic until now was the old 5 POA figure from 2016. Not bad for the time, but this figure outclasses in basically every way. It's got a lot better paint apps. Obviously, it has actual articulation. It's got the face print and a better sculpt that looks really good. I think that's pretty close to Ben Mendelsohn. Looks great. It's got his pistol. Got the cape looking good. I'm just very happy this guy got the nice upgrade that I think the character deserves. And at number 8, I have the Grand Inquisitor from Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is a more recent release. Whatever your opinions are of the redesign for the live action, mainly in the head area, I still think this is a really solid figure. It's got, for the most part, great articulation. I do wish he had different hinges in the wrists. He's got the in and outs, which I think are pointless for this character. But otherwise, he's well articulated. I think he's painted and sculpted really well. I like how he's got the glossiness to the armor. The head sculpt and face print is objectively well done. Now, subjectively, whether you're a fan of this design or not is up to you. But regardless, it is pretty accurate to how it appeared in the actual show. I really like the soft goods cape. It's made of a nice material, flows nicely down on the back of the figure. He's got his unlit hilt you can put on the back and his lightsaber. And yeah, just a big fan of this. Glad to have a articulated Grand Inquisitor in this scale. I'll take any Darksaers I can get, of course. And number 7, I have the Book of Boba Fett Cad Bane. And I would say definitely, probably the best 3.25-inch scale Cad Bane we have. You can maybe make an argument for one of the animated versions from years ago. I'm not sure. I only have one, and it's definitely better than the one that I have. But yeah, painted and sculpted really well. I absolutely love the head sculpt and face print. They did a really good job there. You can take the hat off if you want. He's got his two pistols. You can store them in the holsters or just have him hold them. A decent amount of paint on the figure. Good articulation for the most part. I wish the elbows bent a bit further in, but aside from that, just really well done. I was a big fan of the character. Well, I'm the big fan of the character in general, but I was really happy with how he turned out in the live action show. So yeah, very happy to have this in the collection. And at number 6, we have the deluxe Paz Vizsla. And this was a figure I was really excited when they announced that this was coming out. And it turned out pretty good. I would say it's definitely one of the better deluxe figures. It's still not worth the price point. And my biggest, issue, I guess, is the price point of this figure. But my biggest, not regret per se. But I wish I waited on this guy. He ended up going on sale a few times for a bit cheaper. I bought him right when he came out because I really wanted to have him. But I definitely should have just waited. But that's just the live and learn kind of thing. But he's great. I like the paint apps and the sculpt. He's definitely a little bit bigger than the standard figure. Articulation's well done. Does come with quite a bit of accessories. You got the jetpack. You got the cannon that can store on the jetpack. You've got thruster effects for the jetpack. Blast effect for the blaster. It's got his little knife that you can store in the boot. You got the energy shield. So pretty much everything you'd want with this figure, really. The head sculpt, definitely more accurate than the Black Series one, although for some reason still not 100% accurate to how it appeared in the show. I don't know why they have such issue capturing that helmet design from the show. I don't know what it is, but this one still doesn't. It looks a lot more accurate than the Black Series. It's not quite there. He's also missing some other little details, like he doesn't have the Mandalorian Mythosaur emblem on his shoulder there for some reason. But overall, it's a really solid figure. Very happy to have it. And number 5, we have Grand Admiral Thrawn from Star Wars Rebels in realistic form. Was very much looking forward to this. The only 3 1/4 inch Thrawn I've had up to this point is the 5PUA Thrawn from Star Wars Rebels, which is a good figure, but does not have good articulation, and it's also in that animated style, so it doesn't really mesh well with my collection that's mostly or almost all realistic figures. But this one does, because it's a realistic interpretation and basically just a scaled down version of the Black Series, which I think works perfectly fine. I think the head sculpt and face print's really well done. Articulation's good. He has a decent amount of new parts for the Grand Admiral uniform, but does have some reuse from that officer mold. Looks really good. Poses pretty well. Pretty much my only thing is I kind of wish he came with some more accessories. Just comes with this pistol. It would have been cool if he came with like Hera's Kalikori or like the Jedi Temple guard mask or one of the art things in his office. I think would have been kind of a nice inclusion as well. But still very nice. I would say probably the best 3 1/4 inch Thrawn we currently have from Hasbro. And I'm happy to finally have a nice Thrawn, realistic Thrawn in the collection. At number 4, we have Black Chrysanthemum. This is specifically the exclusive deluxe version. There's also just the standard deluxe. I ended up getting the more special, the exclusive deluxe or whatever. I think it's the con exclusive or something like that. I got it at GameStop. Great figure. Articulation for the most part, pretty well done. The sculpt and paint is really nice. I really love the head sculpt on this one. The standard release just has a stoic face. This one's got the roaring head, which I think looks so much cooler than that head. Looks great. Comes with a ton of accessories. I got this like energy gun with this little energy effect on it. Comes with the energy effects for the knuckles. He has interchangeable hands. He's got the Melu Run fruit, the mug, got the bowcaster. He's got his gun from the show. He's got a couple swords. There's probably some other stuff I think that's pretty much it. There might be some other stuff I'm not remembering, not sure. But yeah, tons of accessories. Just again, like for a lot of figures, my only real gripe is this figure was just way too expensive. I don't regret buying this figure. I just regret buying it for full price, or pretty much full price. It is definitely way too expensive. That's the biggest thing holding this figure back. But otherwise, it is super cool. I don't have many Wookiees in my collection, but this is definitely my favorite one. And Chrysanthemum is just a really cool character. So, yeah, really happy with this one. I do like it better than the Black Series Chrysanthemum, which is also a pretty good figure. And at number 3, we have Hunter from the Clone Wars / The Bad Batch Season 1. Yeah, just excuse the dust. I haven't touched this figure in a long time, actually. But absolutely excellent figure. Again, basically just a scale down to the Black Series one. Articulation's really good. You can do a ton of awesome posing, and it's no problem getting those poses. Paint and sculpt is great. The head sculpt and face print I think looks really good. And he comes with a bunch of accessories: backpack, helmet, knife that can store in the sheath there, pistol, blaster rifle. And I don't think it was intentional, but you can store the blaster on the back of his backpack like I've done here. Yeah, just a really, honestly, pretty close to a perfect release. Just a lot of accessories, great paint, good sculpt, and great articulation. There's really not much wrong with this figure. The suckiest thing about it is so far he's the only one of the squad to be released, and it doesn't look like we're getting any other members anytime soon. I don't even know if any of the other members are even pipelined. So it could be a while before we ever finish the squad in this 3 1/4 inch, which really sucks. But regardless, Hunter is a really solid figure from this year. And at number 2, honestly, my number 2 and number 1, depending on how I feel on the current on any day, could honestly be interchanged. My number 2 and number 1 might as well both be number 1 because I think I like them both pretty equally. But for the sake of the video, they got to be in one spot and the other. So for right now, I am putting the new Pre-Vizsla at number 2. I absolutely love this figure. I've wanted this character in TVC for years and years. It's the first articulated figure of Pre-Vizsla since the original Clone Wars one released in like 2010, and it's the first time he's ever been released in his later season design, which for the most part I prefer over his first look. And the figure is just done very well. It's mostly reuse and repaint actually, but that's perfectly fine. It makes sense to repaint that Super Commando body mold because it's really well done. The articulation is excellent. Paint and sculpt for the most part is really good. The only thing I will complain about sculpt wise is gauntlets aren't overly accurate. I kind of wish they would have sculpted them new forearms to make them a little more accurate to the show, but not a big deal. Paint looks great. The helmet sculpt looks great. It comes with a bunch of accessories. You have the jetpack, the pistols. You get the Darksaber with this really nice design on the blade there. Helmet looks really good. And then underneath, you've got a really nice head sculpt and face print of a realistic take on Pre-Vizsla, which I think looks really good. I like it more than the Black Series one. They're both good, but I think that I like this one more. And yeah, it's pretty much everything I wanted from a new release of Pre-Vizsla, so very happy with this. Looks excellent. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. And then at number 1, probably no surprise, it is my video thumbnail watermark and my profile picture for this channel. It is Darth Revan, and also I'm including Jedi Knight Revan here because it's pretty much the same figure, just repaint and slightly different soft goods. But yeah, absolutely awesome. One of my absolute favorite characters in Star Wars, and just an excellent release all around. This figure had quite the history of being announced to be coming to TVC, but it was going to be just a reissue of the old 2008, 2007, sorry, 30th anniversary collection figure, which wasn't the best idea because, especially getting this new one, that figure is just so aged poorly, honestly. It's objectively not a very good figure, I'm going to be honest, even though I still like it a lot. Yeah, this new one's an upgrade in every way, so I'm really glad that they finally remembered they were going to put this figure out, and then they made them all brand new. Putting the Jedi over on the side here, and they just, I think it really nailed it. I like they went with the plastic hood. It just captures the look a lot better. The mask and the paint on the mask or the helmet looks great. I like that you can remove the hood to see the full helmet, and it looks really great underneath. The armor is nicely painted. I love this silver brushing. That turned out really well. The soft goods are all nice. They got the tatters and the rips and whatnot, and it feels like pretty quality material. Articulation is pretty good. He's a little limited in the legs only because the soft goods robe's a little tight, so it's doesn't hinder him too badly, but it is something to consider. Comes with his 2 lightsabers. They look really good. He's got the right wrist hinges, so you can get a lot of great lightsaber wielding poses. Just absolutely excellent figure release. Definitely worthy of being number 1. And then Jedi Revan, pretty much a lot of the same. I honestly not quite as good, in my opinion, not quite as good at paint on the torso armor than the Sith one. And he comes with 1 less lightsaber. I prefer the Sith look, that's why that one's, if I had to choose between the 2, that one would be number 1, 100%. But I still wanted to give the Jedi one its time in the sun as well, because it's also really nice. But yeah, that is pretty much it for my top 10 at TVC. Like I said, I think it was a really solid year. I'm happy with my choices, and I'm very much looking forward to what we can get in TVC for next year. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What were some of your guys' favorite TVC figures of this year? I'd like to hear. I've been watching some people's videos, and it's pretty cool seeing that a lot of people. I see a lot of common figures in everyone's list. I also see a lot of variation too. Like I don't see many people putting Thrawn on their list, which I can kind of understand why. I see a lot of people putting Pre-Vizsla, which I also understand why. But a lot of people's lists have had quite a bit of variety, so that's been really nice to see. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. May the Force be with you.